they like my Novo Nordisk. It got 15 first choice votes and 8 second choice votes to give it a total score of 38, which is actually like meaningful if you can't see the graphic. Like second place had a total score of 29. So that's like, yeah, there's significantly more conviction in Novo Nordisk than the second idea.
Yes, and curiously, from Monkey's side of things, Novo Nordisk was my go-to stock that I keep showing charts about. What we've done it 2 or 3 times now, and I was making one point about it from a technical standpoint, which is that the momentum is down and it's down severely. And my point continues to be when you have a $208 billion stock like this, you have all kinds of institutions, you have all kinds of quants with their eyes on this, pension funds and so on and so forth. And if the momentum is straight down, then you have better know way more than basically hundreds of billions of dollars of invested money. Do we really know? Do we really, do you, the individual retail investor, really know more than all these quants that are selling this thing massively? And my answer is, in this particular instance, is I doubt it. And so I've been kind of saying, I mean, I've started following this story too, by the way, which we should talk about. But I'm saying this is a case where the retail investor is probably making an error by buying too soon.
Okay. I disagree. I've owned it for a little while now. I've added quite recently. I'm taking a long-term view. I kind of don't mind what it does over the next year. Maybe the next year is like where your momentum and inflection will turn. Who knows? But like long-term, I feel like this is a great stock. Should we say like who nominated the stock as we go through these five?
I don't think that matters I mean, our community nominated the stocks and, it's the voting that counts. So let's talk about Novo. And could I actually lead with a question and you sort of answer this? I've now, I think, done my due diligence in terms of educating myself about the main issue, right? And I think what it comes down to, tell me how this sounds. Like the bull case is like they discovered and made this killer drug, right? Or drug class. But there were shortages because it was so effective. And so along come all the copycats and all the ways that the patent rights weren't upheld. And ironically, the company that invented this crazy blockbuster is lost half of its market cap because of all these other dynamics. That's how I kind of understand the context. My question is why, what makes the bull case say now that all these issues that's circling around it, that they're going to be solved or overcome or that they won't affect Novo going forward?
They made some really clear execution errors in terms of like they were too successful with this drug. They weren't ready to manufacture it at the scale that was needed. And clearly there was enormous demand for this category of drugs. So they got classified in a particular way that allowed like other companies to basically ignore the patent that Novo Nordisk had and then just go and manufacture their own version, sort of emergency use kind of authorizations in different ways. And they also, they screwed up big time because I think they forgot to somehow renew one of their patents in Canada. So they actually lost the market then. So some serious operational screw ups. And is now, as of literally weeks ago, a whole new board of directors, change of leadership. So, the new leadership have to prove themselves. But one thing the company is doing is it's really on the front foot now and being proactive about building the manufacturing pipeline for its oral weight loss drugs. Because these are going to come to market pretty soon. They're in the final sets of trials to get approved for distribution. And the demand for basically like tablet versions of Ozempic, is going to be much higher than the demand for injectable versions because like some people are scared of needles, and it's more convenient, frankly. So yeah, if they can get this stuff out at scale, they're going to clean up. And it is like a duopoly, like those Novo and Eli Lilly, their main competitor. And I do think like Eli Lilly is objectively like the stronger company. Also have like the domestic manufacturing footprint, which in a world of tariffs might be advantageous. But I think that's reflected in the valuations. Like Novo Nordisk is actually relatively cheap. And on top of everything else, like it pays a nice dividend. I think it's a decent investment. And I'm hoping, like I'm expecting, they've learned the lesson of the mistakes that have been made and they won't repeat those. If they repeat the mistakes, then obviously like the company is screwed.
All right. That sounds lovely. Riddle me this. I trust that the entire world's medical community and everybody and their, monkey's uncle is trying to find ways to profit off this thing. And you could make these compounds that are sort of like you say similar enough, and you kind of tweak them a little bit, and you add a compound, you add some extra chemicals to the thing. So now the patent is no longer in play because the competing company says, "Look, it's a new thing," and basically like pirating and why are we not scared, basically, that even with the patents, even with operational fixes, for a company that's $210 billion market cap and all these competitors basically like thinking about ways to rip this off. And this is kind of, as far as I understand, Novo's one-trick pony.
They got a whole bunch of diabetes medications, but this is like a key
Right,
part.
this is the key, right?
Yeah.
That why are you not more scared that this is going to be, in a sense, commoditized, and from a $210 billion market cap, it's a long, long, long way down still?
Its competitor, Eli Lilly, don't forget, he's like a $700 billion market cap. Did I completely make that up? Hang on a sec. Hang on. Eli Lilly.
Well, I'm actually not even worrying about them. I'm thinking about all the hundreds of other little guys that are just gonna,
Sure. Okay.
when you walk through a market in whatever, and you have the rip off headphones and rip off whatever.
It's okay. Look, all right. So I did want to fact check myself. Eli Lilly is $1 trillion company now. Looks like they've just crossed that thing in the last couple of days, maybe. Because this market is so massive, right? There will, unless there are such severe side effects with these medications that they're just not adopted by folk who want them. The untapped market for this stuff, because it's been like there's demand, but they've been expensive drugs up until now, and recent negotiations between the Republican administration and these firms is getting like the cost of these drugs down to a level that most people can afford them. And so, and it's the order of, it was like $1,000 a month, that kind of number. I think now the number, if you might not be on the best version of the drug, but the number's down to more like a couple of $100 a month. Now, something affordable. And if you want to lose weight, or if you have a problem with, I don't know, like impulse control or addiction to your smartphone or gambling or alcohol, stuff that might be wrecking your life, these drugs seem to be like a key to the solution. So like, who ain't going to want that, even if it comes with some fairly minor side effects?
Yeah, although Badge, this is funny. Sorry, it's just timely. Mrs. Monkey and I were talking about this generally just yesterday, because we were curious. We were dinner talk, right? Dinner talk at the Monkey household. Like, what's up with this Ozempic stuff? She reported to me that lady parts get severely affected, and not for the better, due to this. Or maybe this is the new research coming in, and it's really not that great. And maybe there are, like you were saying, these as yet to be discovered, no good side effects. All of which is to say, I find it fascinating that has become this magic cure, right? All of a sudden it's going to cure everything. Ironically, this morning shares are down 6.5% right now because it turns out the Alzheimer's research came in no better than the placebo. So not conclusive endpoint. But anyway, anytime it's the kind of critique you always give me, right? Like, oh, magic drugs, solving everything, right? And I'm here weirdly skeptical, saying there's got to be spoken of downsides to this kind of thing. Like, how many times do you really discover magic beans?
Well, these aren't like brand new drugs as well. We're probably going too deep on this for a community conversation, but these aren't like brand new drugs. Like Novo Nordisk had some version of this for diabetes for a long time, for like decades. And then these GLP-1s emerged from that research. So actually they're relatively well understood. And yeah, there are side effects, but if you're a diabetic or if you're clinically obese, right, you might be correct to accept the side effects and the impact on your lady parts and maybe your man parts, I don't know, and like nausea and whatever else you might get. Because you're like, well, I'm actually going to lose a ton of weight. And in the long term, that's going to correlate with like a longer, healthier life. And then, maybe I can wean myself off these drugs, albeit I think the general thing is that once you're on them, you're kind of on them for life. Anyway, yeah.
For the record, Badge,
yeah.
I just want to be on the record forever that Monkey prioritizes his monkey parts, and he would not want to mess with this business under any circumstances. So